Hello, sisters.
Hello.
Who's ready to get to know themselves better?
Yeah. Me?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, we're here. We're doing it. How's everyone's week?
It was really good.
Yeah, mine too. This dare was phenomenal. So thank you.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't thought of this one sooner because this is like who I am. Being inclusive is just like everything I ever tried to be. So, but we finally did it. We're here. We're just gonna jump right in. So last week we talked about being inclusive and how important it is to include others, include ourselves, and just be more mindful of that. I was reading this thing about like the neuroscience behind it all. And it is actually really difficult for us to naturally include others. And it goes all the way back to our ancestral survival techniques, where when we see something or someone different than us, we actually become defensive, and it limits our ability to empathize with other people. And so we have to train ourselves to naturally include others and include ourselves amongst different people. So, Britannia, how did your experience go?
Oh my gosh. This was one of the best weeks of my life in a really long time. And I thought I did a good job of including others, but what I had not ever focused on was including myself. I have been a serial unique person. Like, I'm so used to being on my own and being independent, and I don't need anyone. And sometimes that can make me an outsider because I've always felt like an outsider. So I've just identified with that. And so I have this like idea that I can't be included in certain groups or certain situations. And I'm confident in who I am and what I offer. And so that is fine. I will be alone and I will be a boss at being alone. But this challenge changed that for me. And not only did I go out of my way to include other people, but I went out of my way to be present and include myself into the situation. And so literally every day this last week, there was something magical that happened. And I'll just do a really quick rundown of some of the things. I connected with a doctor that I've had a good relationship with, but for the first time, we talked about personal things and not just the services that I provide with my work. I connected with a spiritual healer. Working with my day job with Compound Preferred, I met the spiritual healer and she opened up to me and I opened up to her. And we both like shared some like tears and motivate each other. And here I am like 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. And it's just this beautiful connected moment. I felt so safe with her. I had an opportunity to teach yoga. And now I have a gig where I teach yoga every week. And this is huge. This is like a corporate private class gig that I've been manifesting, and that came to life. I connected with my Uber driver who literally lives across the street and is looking into doing the same side hustles that I'm looking into. I met this amazing guy called Vegas Rich in Vegas. And he also does motivational speaking and YouTube videos and has a channel and jump ropes. He jump ropes for his workout like I do. We're totally the same. And afterwards, I DM'd him on Instagram and I was like, hey, it was so nice to meet you. And he also upgraded my room, which was amazing and super sweet. So just good things. And he responded with, I was having a really bad day until you came. So thank you for
Aw.
making my day. I'm like, but you made mine. And it was this like beautiful thing. And I connected with my teammates at the conference. And it's so funny because as I focused on including others and including myself, I actually felt even more confident, even more secure in who I am and what I offer, and that I'm meant to be where I'm at. And I don't have to have these inadequacies, these, limiting beliefs, because I'm here, I'm doing it and I'm killing it. And so I was able to share that energy with so many other people and have intimate conversations with strangers and with people I've known for years. It was amazing. So thank you.
That makes me so happy. That sounds so good. Like better than I was hoping for. I love that.
Thank
So
you.
what were your thoughts? Like, how did the dare actually propel you? Because you're already really outgoing and you like talking to people. So like, what was your actual thought? Like, did you have a moment where you're like, I don't feel like talking to this person, or I don't feel like taking time, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to be inclusive this week? Did you have something like that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Like talking to, that doctor who I get along with. He's a wonderful guy, but I had things to do. I had a big conference to get ready for. I wanted to kind of rush him off the phone. Actually, our call dropped 3 times because of service, and I called him back, and it would have been really easy to go, hey, I'll just talk to you another time. But instead I picked up the phone and called him each time. Or my, the spiritual life coach, the person I actually wanted to talk to there, I couldn't meet with, the owner of the IV hydration place. But I was like, hey, I'm here. She's here. Why not get to know who this is? And so that changed it. In the Uber, normally I'm on my phone, or like I do the niceties. How are you? Like, some basic exchanges. But I made a point to ask about him, and found out that he started a food truck business and they're looking to Airbnb, and they might even do drip hydration and like all of these things. And then same with my teammates. I wanted to go and meet new people, especially push the business forward. But there were some times where I felt like they needed interaction. And so what it really was is I needed to interact with them just as much as they need to interact with me. And instead of being like, oh, I'm going to go land a sale, or I'm going to go connect with this person with the hydrofacial machine because I want to get hooked up with a free service, I'm going to sit here and connect with my teammate and grow that relationship. And so it was, yes, it was intentional, but because I was intentional in several moments, there were other moments that just flowed effortlessly.
Yay.
That's so awesome.
Absolutely love that.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, Anike, how was your experience?
Did you say my Anike?
Yes, my Anike.
She's my Anike. Not very inclusive.
So the cool thing about this is my favorite thing about doing this podcast and doing these dares, is that it puts into your mind thoughts that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Exactly.
And yes. And so all week I was like, be inclusive, be inclusive, be inclusive. Like it was a repetitive thought that I had that I wouldn't have had. I would have never had a be inclusive thought on my own unless I found it somewhere else to inspire me, unless it was for this dare. So just really cool prompt and really cool thing. So I was at work most of the time. So I focused on including people at work and including myself at work. And I am usually very on the ball when I'm at work. Like when I'm in the hallway, I'll take my phone with me and I'm commenting on social media because I'm the marketing manager. And there's this thing called speed to lead, where like if somebody's like, how much is this house? We have to like respond right away. So instead of looking at my phone like I normally do when I'm walking the hall, like even on my way to the kitchen or to the bathroom, I put my phone away and I said hi to everybody that I passed by, and I talked to people in the kitchen that I wouldn't have talked to in other situations. Like one guy was getting his coffee in the kitchen and I was just like, how's it going? It was like small talk at first. And I was like, be inclusive, be inclusive. And I remembered that he had a like a 9-month or 8-month-old daughter. And so I was like, hey, are you getting any sleep? Like, I know what that's like. And he's like, no, not at all. And then he just started talking about it. And I said, well, have you heard of the child whisperer? And so I talked about this book and about other types of women. So it was a really great conversation. I wouldn't have had it otherwise. But one of them, there's 2 people that I work with that one, and I won't name names, but one says hi to people on the way to his office. Like, hi, Beth, hi, Mark. But then I'm like on the way to his office too, but he never says hi to me. And I took that personally. Like, I just like was butthurt about it. That's my own like insecurity. But I was like, why does he say hi to everybody else and not me? Well, I'm not going to talk to him. So I had this bad attitude. But this week I was like, be inclusive. You don't even know him. So instead of worrying about whether he was going to say hi to me, I went to him and I asked him how he went on vacation. And I was like, how was your vacation? And tell me about it. And my mindset was all about serving him and not about what are you going to give me? Or why aren't you telling me hello? And just being really selfish about it. And so it just switched my mindset. So then when he said bye to everybody, at the end of the day, he still didn't say bye to me. It didn't change anything, but my reaction was so much better. I was totally fine with it because my mindset wasn't, why isn't he saying bye to me? Why isn't he including me? It was, I went to go reach out to him. I'm going to include him. And so I handled it a lot better. Tony Robbins says the secret to living is giving. And if we're focused on other people, we're so much happier and we're not going to be victims. We're not going to be offended because we're not even focusing on ourselves.
Exactly.
The second significant experience was one of our real estate agents. I feel my perception, and this is totally judgmental on my side. We have several real estate agents on our team. We have a team of like 40 something, and I don't even know how many real estate agents, a good handful. And one I felt like has a really bad attitude. My perception, right? This is not truth because I don't know him. My perception is he has a bad attitude and he never like does the challenges that I have people do. And he didn't submit his success story to when we were putting all of our end of the year results and stuff. Anyway, I just was like avoiding him because I was just like, I don't know, he just seems not great. But this week, be inclusive. And I was interviewing the real estate agents for some more success stories to send to the radio station because the radio station does ads for us. And so I'm like, I kind of walked by his office a couple of times to see if he was busy. And I was like, didn't want to do it, but I was just like, be inclusive. So I went in there and I was like, hey, do you have a few minutes? Can I interview you about your successes last month? And he was stressed and he was just like, I guess. And I was like, okay. So I sat down and it was like kind of tense and he was really bold and straightforward. I think he's a type 4, which they tend to be very, in Carol Tuttle's types, which are very logical, straightforward, and sometimes misunderstood because they can be kind of like blunt and seem rude. But I was like, he's not rude. He's just a type 4. Just be inclusive. Don't judge. And so I ended up interviewing him and again, not focusing on myself, focusing on him. And I was just like, I actually love how straightforward you are because I know how you feel and I really appreciate your honesty. And he's like, honestly, I'm not this straightforward. I'm just really stressed right now. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do? And he's like, no, but I really appreciate you saying that. And it ended up being like a really good experience, even though I didn't want to do it. I was worried that I would not that he would like yell at me, but just like be like, no, I don't have time for you. But it was good. He made time for me. And I had a forward thinking attitude, like on my arrows are pointed at him instead of me. So really great week. And I have so much to say about Tony Robbins' breakthrough event, but I won't go into the details, but it was just a really good week about committing myself to serving others, to learning and changing my attitude. And again, having those thoughts in my mind of be inclusive. So thank you, Johanna, for that challenge. I'll probably always have those thoughts now.
Yay. That makes me so happy. I'm glad that you guys were having some successful experiences. This is so cool. And it changed your relationship with these people and your relationship with yourself. This is perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that mindset about serving others. Like, and you're like, how can I include them? How can I include them? And the fact that your first story, the guy didn't turn around and go, Anike, we're going to be best friends now. Because the truth is, you're not going to always vibe with every person, and they are going to act how they want to act. And we think sometimes when we are serving and giving, that means everyone's going to turn around and serve and give to us. But you were okay with it not being that way because it wasn't about you.
Exactly. Yeah. Biggest lesson learned for sure.
That's exactly it. Give me 2 seconds. I'm so sorry.
Well, while Johanna is taking a moment, I really want to use this in my next yoga class. I was thinking about what are the little things that I can touch in with a yoga class. And I think part of it is getting back to your inner child. You know, when you were younger, it was okay to say, I want to do this and I want to play with you and you're my best friend. And we don't really do that now. And I think a lot of this process made me think about how was I when I was a little girl before the world changed me.
Yeah. And I think this is actually a really important principle that I hope that we all teach our children, this, like kind of what you're saying, because there have been stories of people saying like, oh, is your, like talking to another kid, like, is your kid Christian? You can't play with them if they're not, like stuff like that. Or there's still racism, you know, if they're Black, you can't play with them. That's not being inclusive, and that's not okay, especially for children, because children don't understand different skin colors. They just like, cool, another person, play with me. And they don't understand religion in that way. Like, who cares what you believe? It's another person, and we all have value, and we should all include each other, and the world would be such a better place.
I absolutely agree. That's something that I was thinking about. I was just doing like a little brain game, and it was
Right
like
now?
find all the it was like find all these things that like start with you in this picture. And there's a guy wearing a Union jacket, and it just got me thinking about like the Civil War and, you know, like the Confederate flag and everything like that. And it's just interesting because people are people, that's our same species. We don't need to start wars with our own kind. Like, the whole reason why we have survival is to survive against other species that are naturally trying to kill us. Why are we trying to kill our companions, our partners, people who can help us? And so we put that into our own head. We put that into our own head that they're different, but they're not. I mean, maybe personality wise, but physically, like, it does not matter what they look like.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. My week's experience was cool. My brother-in-law had a birthday on Tuesday, and it was fun. We all came up, we all celebrated as a little surprise party for him. It was his golden birthday. He turned 25 on the 25th. And we were just hanging out, and I asked my sister-in-law, I was like, hey, have you changed your last name yet? And she's like, no, I haven't. And they've been married for a year and a half now. And she still hasn't changed her maiden name. And not that she has to, but she wants to. And so I was like, I'd love to go with you, because it's like a 45-minute drive. And I just hate doing things like that by myself. And so I just assumed that she would too. And so I asked her and her sister if we could do like a girls trip. I was like, hey, what if we all drove down together and we can help you get your name changed, and then we can like get lunch together, because like I miss you guys. I miss my sisters, but you guys live so far away. And so I don't get to go out to lunch with you. But my two sisters-in-law live 10 minutes away from me, and I can do so much more. And so I decided to stop waiting for them to include me, which they do all the time, but it's not you guys. And so I just decided to invite myself basically to help her change her name. And they both got so excited. Like, they gave me a reaction like, yes, like I would love to go out and get lunch with you. I was like, oh, you love me. And it was just so sweet. And so we made a plan. We're going to go this Friday. And it just got me really excited. And it just helped me like just build that stronger relationship and take out like the in-law in our relationship and just turn it into a sisterhood. So I'm excited for that. And then it got me also thinking about my daughter, Olive. She's 3 and she has a younger sister who's 1. And sometimes when she talks, she goes into a baby voice. And it kind of drives Caden nuts. He's like, don't talk like a baby. Like, you know how to talk normal, just do it. But I kind of gave him a hard time. I was like, well, babe, you change your voice too when you're nervous. And he's like, yeah, I guess I do. Like he went to his welding class and it was like all cowboys. And he started to talk with like a country accent. And I do that too. When I get nervous around people, I kind of put on like a different persona. I feel like I'm being true to myself, but I'm nervous. So I put up like this weird shield up to protect myself. So in case like they hurt me or like offend me, it wasn't really me, you know? And so I think that's what my daughter does. And I've noticed that she does it when she's trying to ask us to like play with her. And so she'll just talk and she'll be like, hey, do you want to play with me? And then she turns her mouth sideways and she kind of starts talking baby and she's not quite sure. And I think she's afraid of us saying, sorry, like I gotta go clean. I gotta go do homework. I gotta do this and do that. And she's afraid of being rejected. And so if she puts up the shield, it won't entirely hurt her. And so part of being inclusive is not just physically including yourself, but putting yourself in their shoes. Include yourself in their lives, in their situation, and try to relate to them. Why are they acting like that? Why are they doing that? And then we can better physically include them. Like, oh, you're feeling like this. How about we go play together? How about we go hang out? And it's going to be okay. So that was my experience this week.
That's awesome, Johanna. I love everything you just said because Olive is a year younger than Anders, and Anders still does that when he is, and maybe it's because he was nervous. I thought he was just excited around certain people because like when he got on FaceTime with you, he started talking in a baby voice. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like you can have a full-on adult conversation with me. Why are you talking like a baby? And I think you hit the nail on the head about them feeling like they'll be rejected, which is so sad, but it's probably because they've been rejected and they don't want to feel that way again. And especially when they have a little sibling who is a baby, who is rejected less because they don't understand. They think, well, that baby is talking like a baby and mom and dad, tend to their every need. So I'm going to do that. So that was very correct. Like you hit the nail on the head with that. And I appreciate you saying that. And I also love that you said about the sisterhood thing, about taking out the in-law and just saying they're just my sisters. Because that's what we're doing here with Dare to Tribe. We are a tribe, we are a sisterhood, but we want to include other women into our sisterhood. We don't want to be like, oh yeah, it's a stranger, it's some lady. It's like, no, you are our sister. Like every time we meet someone that we love, you're like, you can be our sister too, because we are inclusive individuals and women should empower people. And we are the same species, like you said. And so take out those other like in-laws or friends or stranger or coworker. Like we are sisters and we have a sisterhood and we want to support you in that.
Yes, I love that too. And especially because we are far from each other and often we focus about what we don't have. We don't have our sisters close instead of thinking about all that we do have, like these other sisters who are close.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And it's probably going to change your relationship with Olive at such a young age for you to notice that and to notice that behavior that I'm sure that we did stuff like that when we were younger. I'm sure there were little things that our parents wanted to pick up on, but they didn't have a tribe or a prompt or a dare to help them think about these things. And now not only are you adding to your life, but you're adding to Olive's life and your husband's life and Holland's life. And I just think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Johanna. Thanks for this challenge. Thanks for being inspired to share it. And I hope that we'll remember, and I hope that our listeners will also always be thinking of being inclusive, because that's what life is about. Like I said, I'll say it again. The secret to living is giving. That's Tony Robbins' like main quote and main message in what he does. And I think that's true. The secret of living is giving. And so thank you, Johanna. So with that said, I have the dare this week, and I've been really inspired through the Breakthrough Challenge with Tony Robbins. We had a 5-day challenge, and each day was like over 3 hours, and it involved a lot of like jumping up and down. And if you feel powerful, put your fist in the air and say yes, yes. And it's all virtual. And so it's like all these people over Zoom just going like this, but we're all silent. So it's kind of funny. And then we're like running. And so I'm like jumping up and down in my office because I did it while I was at work. And I was just really like inspired and pumped up during this week. And I don't know if you know this, but Tony Robbins' mentor is a guy named Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn taught a lot of the same things that Tony Robbins teaches. I mean, who was his mentor? They are not as like energetic, but the message is pretty much the same. And one of the things Jim Rohn said is affirmation without discipline is delusion. I'm going to say that again. Affirmation without discipline is delusion. And what's cool about this is Tony Robbins says the same thing. He just words it a little bit differently about how you need to take action. And I came up with a quote on my own that was just inspired. And it's basically also the same message, that ideas are worthless without doing something about it. The action is what makes things happen. The action moves us forward. And so the dare this week, I forgot to come up with a truth. I just want to go straight to a dare. I don't know if I have a truth, so we might have to skip it. Okay, no, I have a truth. Who is someone that you look up to and that inspires you?
Jennifer Lopez.
Why?
Really? J-Lo.
I had a dream about J-Lo last night.
Oh.
So I don't know anyone intimately that I look up to and want to be just like, and I've talked about that before. I think of my future self as the person that I want to be most like, but I try to find things and pieces to emulate. And I love that J-Lo she's intelligent and beautiful and has an empire, yet she's kind and she's a mom and she's sweet and she takes care of her body and she takes care of her family, and she's not afraid to love over and over and over again. And I feel like she reinvents herself, but yet stays true to herself. And I don't know what it is, but the two people I thought of was Oprah Winfrey and Jennifer Lopez.
That's awesome. What about you, Johanna?
That's a good question. I don't think I have one specific person I look up to. But as like a whole, I take mental and physical notes anytime a person talks about their parents. And so I look up to people I haven't met, but they tell me their stories, like, my mom did this, my dad did this, they took care of me, they supported me, they were there for me. So anytime people talk about their parents, like, I emulate that and I just want to become that. And so I look at it through like the child's perspective, because that's how I want my kids to see us.
Cool. I love that. And I bet they do. I don't think you have anything to worry about, but I think your mindset is in the right place. Someone I look up to, it's so weird. I don't know if I have a lot of masculine energy or what, but I often look up to men more than women. But I do, so like Tony Robbins, I mean, I'll mention him so many times. Lewis Howes from the School of Greatness podcast, Carol Tuttle. She's like 64 and just rocking it. Like she's a babe. And she created the Just My Nature and the Live Your Truth stuff. So I look up to her, and then Mel Robbins. So I've got a few. So this dare is, I want you to find someone of value, whether it's Jennifer Lopez, whether it's a stranger, whether it's Tony Robbins. And 5 days out of the week, I want you to become obsessed with this person. And let me be more specific. I want you to find someone that has done what you want to do and who is who you want to be. Not so you can copy them, but so you can be inspired by them, so they can uplift you and to help you move into action. Because like we said, affirmation without discipline is delusion. And without action, nothing happens. Ideas are worthless unless you do something about it. And so I want you to find someone that is done what you have done, which if you don't know what you want to do, that's the first step. You got to figure out what you want to do and then find that person. And it can be a famous person, but if it's a famous person, I want you to then find a local person as well. Because the likelihood of you like having lunch and meeting the famous person is probably not likely.
I have full intent of meeting both Oprah Winfrey and Jennifer Lopez and being with them.
This week. So this week, and I'm not saying you have to go meet someone local, but I want you to either email them or reach out to their organization or just find them, because it might take you all week to find someone local. So like for you, Brittanya, it would be someone who's like a yoga life coach, spiritual leader, or something that you can kind of like, you can even ask them like, will you mentor me? Can I volunteer in your organization? Can I shadow you a day? And you might not be able to actually shadow them this week because they might have a busy schedule, but I want you to take action, and I want you to contact that person, or at least find them and do something, because most of the things that we want to do have probably already been done, and we can do them quickly and better when we find someone to help coach us through. So for you, Johanna, I think your challenge will probably have to be really fine-tuning what you really want. Because I know your focus is being a stay-at-home mom, but I know that you also have a lot more in you than being a stay-at-home mom. You have so many gifts that you can give to the world. And so really fine-tune what exactly it is that you want, and find somebody to help you become obsessed with them. Read all their articles, read their books, watch their videos, and do everything you can to dive into that person and to learn from them. You think you can do it?
You got it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is going to challenge me. This is not as easy as some of the other ones have come a little bit easier to me. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to get this done today. No problem. This is going to take some investment, some emotional investment. And I'm excited for the challenge. Thank you. I don't even know where to begin, but I'm ready.
You begin with finding out what it is that you want. And then you start searching for that person. And maybe it is Jennifer Lopez. Go read her book, or at least check it out from the library. Watch her YouTube videos, watch her podcasts, become obsessed with her, and figure out how you can do the same thing as her. If it's not Jennifer Lopez, I mean, I did say if it's a famous person, I want you to find someone local too, because I think it would be really valuable to find someone to mentor you. And you don't have to, I mean, people pay a lot of money for mentorship, but you can shadow people for free. Hi, sweetie.
Oh, you want to introduce this little one, Johanna?
This one's Olive. Can you say hi?
Olive.
Someone just woke up.
Can you, Olive, we're just finishing our podcast. Can you say, we dare you?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah!
Yay!